Some UFC rivalries are built in the spotlight, others are born in the shadows. And the story between Ilia Topuria and Paddy Pimblett didn't start with a stare-down. It started with a tweet, and it wasn't just a fight over words. It became a clash of nations, pride, and personal pain. This is the untold story of Ilia Topuria's war with Paddy Pimblett. And why it might be the most personal grudge match since Khabib versus McGregor. Back in 2021, neither man had cracked the top 10. Both were undefeated, loud, and on their way up. But it took one reckless tweet to turn playful banter into a blood feud. Paddy, known for stirring the pot.
Lad, just because everyone likes you here, lad, it's going to be funny when you're on the floor asleep on Saturday night.
I don't even care about you, dude.
I know you don't. I don't care about you. You're just another obstacle in the way, lad.
Posted a now deleted tweet targeting Georgian fighter Guram Kutateladze, insulting not just a man but an entire country. Worse, he joked about the Russian invasion of Georgia in 2008. To most, it was trash talk. To Ilia Topuria, whose family fled those horrors, it was a line crossed forever.
What do you think about Paddy?
He's a That's all.
When fighters cross the line online, it usually dies there. But this wasn't Twitter anymore. This was real life. And the war of words was about to become a war of fists. In March 2022, both Ilia Topuria and Paddy Pimblett were booked on the same card at UFC London. The UFC knew what they were doing. Two undefeated rising stars, one combustible rivalry, same hotel, same hallways, bad idea. It was fight week, tensions were high, and when Ilia Topuria saw Paddy in the hotel lobby, there was no press, no cameras, no referee. Just two men and years of bad blood. Within seconds, the insults turned physical. Paddy, thinking he was untouchable in his hometown, threw a bottle. Ilia Topuria responded the only way he knew how, with fists. In the chaos, a bottle of hand sanitizer flew through the air. Whether it was thrown or caught mid-scuffle, no one really knows. But Paddy, trying to downplay the moment, went online and called Ilia hand sanitizer boy.
So from now on, he'll forever be known as Mr. Hand Sanitizer. He's tried to make it look good on his part when he looks like an absolute idiot. I can't believe he posted that video. He's made himself look so stupid.
It was meant as a joke, but it backfired spectacularly. Because in fight culture, nicknames stick. And Ilia Topuria turned it into fuel. The lobby incident wasn't just a fight. It was a declaration, a promise. And the moment this beef became inevitable, on March 19th, 2022, the UFC almost had a hotel brawl turn into a sanctioned fight, but the matchmakers weren't ready. Yet. December 2022, UFC 282. Neither Ilia Topuria nor Paddy Pimblett were fighting each other. On paper, it wasn't their night. But sometimes a rivalry refuses to stay quiet. Paddy was booked against Jared Gordon. Ilia was set to face Bryce Mitchell. Two separate matchups, two separate destinies. But from the moment the fighters stepped into the pre-fight press conference, it was clear this wasn't going to be business as usual. The media had their questions lined up, but no one cared. And then it started. Paddy opened fire first, mocking Ilia, calling him obsessed.
He's obsessed with me, lad. It's heavy.
Shut the fuck up.
He hasn't stopped tweeting about me all week, lad. He needs to sort his life out.
Ilia didn't hesitate. No smiles, no fake promotion. Security tensed up. The fighters' corners stiffened. The rest of the card, forgotten.
Do it? Do it then, you little pussy. What? Do it? Do it? Come on, do something then. Do something, stand up. What'll you do? You'll do nothing. You'll do nothing, you little fart. Go and sit back down.
This press conference belonged to them now. The headlines weren't about the fights that weekend. They were about Topuria and Pimblett. Two men miles apart in the rankings, but inches away from each other's throats. And for the first time, fans realized this wasn't a promo feud. This was personal war. Neither man fought each other that night, but they fought for the spotlight. And by the end of that press conference, it was clear the UFC had a future grudge match on its hands. A collision course was officially set. December 10th, 2022. T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas. UFC 282. The arena was packed. The bright lights burned down on the octagon. Ilia Topuria was up first. Squaring off against Bryce Mitchell. an undefeated, loud-mouthed American with a penchant for trash talk and a solid ground game.
I can beat anybody they put me in there with, and that's a fact. I'm the greatest fighter to ever do it.
Many believed Ilia was biting off more than he could chew. But when the cage door shut, it became a one-sided dismantling. Topuria stalked Mitchell like a predator. Every strike landed with bad intentions. Combinations flew sharp, calculated, and cruel. Bryce tried to wrestle, tried to clinch, but Ilia shrugged him off like a man swatting away an insect. In the second round, Ilia unleashed hell. A vicious overhand right crumpled Mitchell's defenses. Topuria poured it on, swarming with relentless ground and pound. And when he sensed the end, he trapped Bryce's neck in a tight arm triangle choke. The undefeated Mitchell submitted for the first time in his career.
Oh, that's tight.
Whoa! Still undefeated!
Wow.
Ilia Topuria submits!
Oh my
Bryce.
goodness!
Topuria stood, roaring into the Vegas night. His message wasn't subtle. He wasn't just another name in the division. He was a problem. And in his post-fight interview, with sweat pouring down his face and adrenaline still coursing through his veins, Ilia made it clear who was still on his mind.
It happens in London when I fought the last time with Paddy. It happens this time, and I didn't have any distractions with that, you know. So the thing was, I was in press conference that Mushroom was talking, and I don't want to listen to him. So I prefer to talk. I prefer to talk me, you know. So I know that I'm gonna face that one day, and I'm gonna smash his face.
Maybe the first event ever in Spain?
Wow, that will be fucking amazing. Amazing.
Then came Paddy's turn, facing Jared Gordon, a tough, scrappy fighter, but one many assumed would be a stepping stone for the Liverpudlian star. When the fight started, reality cracked the illusion. Jared Gordon wasn't here to roll over. He outstruck Paddy in the first, landed clean shots in the second, and controlled long stretches of the bout against the fence. The flash and flare of Pimblett's offense failed to materialize, and yet, when the final horn sounded, it was Paddy raising his hands. June 29th, 2024, UFC 304, Madison Square Garden, New York City. It was a night drenched in anticipation. Alexander Volkanovski, the longest reigning featherweight champion of the modern UFC era, had defended his belt against monsters. Max Holloway, 3 times, Brian Ortega, Yair Rodriguez, and even dared to step up in weight against Islam Makhachev.
Alex Volkanovski, he's the best.
I'm the king of this division. Featherweights, you better watch out.
Volkanovski beat basically everybody. Without a doubt, the most accomplished featherweight champion of all time.
But now, the Predator from Spain was waiting.
Ilia Topuria!
The build-up was tense, but always lurking in the press conferences and interviews was one ghost: Paddy Pimblett. Even with a title on the line, the media couldn't help themselves. The night Ilia Topuria became champion.
I just know my skills, Joe. I work so hard. I work so hard for this one. I was knowing always like one day I will become our UFC World Champion.
When the cage door shut at UFC 304, Ilia Topuria delivered the performance of a lifetime. Round 1 was tense. Volkanovski's feints, angles, and experience gave him the early edge. But midway through round 2, everything changed. Ilia landed a right hand so clean it echoed off the garden walls. Volkanovski staggered. Ilia swarmed. Ilia Topuria was the new UFC featherweight champion of the world. The arena went ballistic. His corner leapt into the cage. Spanish flags waved in the air. But even in his moment of triumph, the rivalry haunted him. Paddy's silence. For perhaps the first time in his career, Paddy Pimblett didn't have a comeback ready. He left the arena early that night, skipping post-fight interviews. No Instagram story, no tweet, no backstage antics. The walls were closing in. Because now, Ilia wasn't just a loudmouth contender, he was a world champion. The UFC's dilemma behind closed doors, Dana White and Hunter Campbell were in a tough spot. On one hand, Paddy was still a massive draw. On the other, Ilia had now forced their hand. The pressure was suffocating. At the UFC 305 press conference weeks later, Dana was asked directly.
Well, I don't know who the hell let him in there. That should have never happened. Let's start there. I was already back in my room, or that would have never happened. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really think about that stuff tonight, other than, obviously the Van fight, but we'll see. We'll see how this plays out.
The ball was officially in Paddy's court. The world watches. By late 2024, it became the biggest hypothetical fight in the UFC not yet booked. Every ranking breakdown, podcast, and Reddit thread debated it. By early 2025, the bad blood between Ilia Topuria and Paddy Pimblett wasn't just personal anymore. It had become a high-stakes promotional headache for the UFC. After their infamous 2022 hotel altercation and years of trash talk, every fight week press conference, every social media post felt like a countdown to inevitable violence. But somehow, the fight still wasn't made. Topuria, meanwhile, wasn't waiting quietly. Fresh off his UFC featherweight title defense against Max Holloway at UFC 300, Ilia made it his mission to publicly pressure the UFC and Paddy's camp into a bout. He called out Pimblett relentlessly. His camp leaked negotiation details, claimed Pimblett was dodging him, and even released edited clips mocking Paddy's striking defense. Every interview became a calculated assault on Pimblett's pride. Pimblett, to his credit, fired back. He mocked Ilia's obsession, downplayed his resume, and insisted Ilia was desperate for clout.
He comes to come back up to lightweight. Still think I beat him. I really do. I still think I beat him, whether he's just beat Max Holloway or not. I still think I beat him.
But behind the scenes, tension was mounting. The UFC brass recognized that while Pimblett remained a major draw, Topuria had become something far more dangerous, an undefeated, dominant world champion with crossover appeal in Europe and Latin America. The UFC initially planned to keep them apart. Paddy was still climbing the lightweight ranks while Ilia was handling business at featherweight. But all of that changed after UFC 317. Ilia Topuria vacated his featherweight belt in early 2025 to move up to lightweight full-time, chasing a second belt. That move cornered the UFC. The company couldn't delay forever, especially with fans, and Topuria, demanding the Pimblett fight on every platform. The final straw came at UFC 317 in June 2025. In the co-main event, Ilia Topuria delivered one of the most shocking performances in UFC history. A devastating first-round knockout of Charles Oliveira to claim the UFC lightweight championship. That victory cemented him as one of the most dominant forces in modern MMA, and right after that win, Pimblett, seated cageside, stood up and shouted insults at Topuria mid-celebration. Cameras caught it. Fans exploded. Dana White was livid backstage, but knew in that moment the storyline was too big to ignore. Ilia Topuria ascended to an elite tier of UFC champions. The win made him the 10th multi-division champion in UFC history, a feat placing him alongside legends like Conor McGregor, Daniel Cormier, and Amanda Nunes. But unlike those before him, Topuria remained undefeated. Analysts unanimously declared it knockout of the year and one of the defining moments of the modern lightweight division. The fallout from UFC 317 wasn't limited to Topuria's title win, though. Paddy Pimblett, who had recently earned back-to-back lightweight wins against Renato Moicano and Matt Frivola, was sitting cage-side, waiting for his moment. When Topuria's hand was raised, Pimblett stood up and shouted across the cage. Their entourages nearly clashed backstage as security intervened. The UFC's cameras caught it all. Social media lit up. As of July 2025, rumors are going around that UFC is finalizing plans to stage Topuria versus Pimblett for late 2025. Likely UFC 322 in London or New York's Madison Square Garden. It's a bout no one thought would happen 3 years ago, but now feels inevitable. The stakes, pride, revenge, legacy, and for Paddy, likely his final shot at the upper tier of the UFC lightweight division. For years, fans have whispered about it. Fighters have teased it. And now, for the first time since their bitter feud began, it feels like Topuria versus Pimblett might actually be on the horizon. Following his historic knockout victory over Charles Oliveira at UFC 317, Ilia Topuria cemented his place as one of the most dominant forces in UFC history. Undefeated two-division champion and arguably the scariest lightweight on the planet. But amid the celebrations, one old name resurfaced: Paddy, the Baddy Pimblett. The two crossed paths again cage-side at UFC 317, trading words in full view of the cameras. Rumors spread like wildfire in the aftermath. Reporters claiming the UFC was actively exploring the matchup. Insiders saying it's the fight Dana White can't ignore much longer. But make no mistake, as of now, nothing's official. No signed contract. No fight announcement, just a storm brewing in the fight world. For Ilia, it's personal closure on a rivalry he's carried since 2022. For Paddy, it's a shot at redemption, a career-defining upset, and a chance to finally silence the doubters. Whether it happens later this year in London, New York, or somewhere else entirely, fans are demanding it. And right now, it feels closer than it's ever been. So what do you think? Should the UFC finally make Topuria versus Pimblett happen? Would it be another ruthless display from Ilia El Matador Topuria? Or does Paddy the Baddy pull off one of the biggest upsets in MMA history? Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments. Would you watch it? Who wins? And how? See you on the next one.